All right, here's a wild thought for you. What if the Great Pyramid of Giza and the Garden of Eden are, secretly, telling the exact same story? Today, we're going to decode a kind of symbolic language that connects these two ancient marvels, and, it reveals a pretty incredible shared vision of paradise.
So this is the big question, right? This is what we're digging into. I mean, on the surface, they feel like they're from completely different planets. One is this massive stone monument in the middle of the Egyptian desert, and the other is, well, it's this mythical, perfect garden. But what if they're both just different ways of expressing the exact same idea? What if they're built from the same divine blueprint?
And spoiler alert, the answer is not going to be what you find on some late-night TV show. It's got nothing to do with aliens. The real connection is actually way more profound, and it tells us so much about how ancient people saw their world, their gods, and really their place in the universe.
Okay, so to get these symbols, we have to first understand the lives of the people who were using them. We've got to step out of our world, with our refrigerators and grocery stores, and really try to see things through their eyes. For pretty much everybody back then, life wasn't about getting ahead or thriving. It was just about surviving. Seriously. A single bad harvest, a drought, that could mean total disaster. They lived day to day in what's called a subsistence economy, where it was just this nonstop grind to get enough food and water to see the next sunrise.
Just imagine for a second that this is your mental checklist, every single day. This isn't about having a bad week. This was the fundamental rhythm of life, this constant, grinding anxiety about the absolute basics of survival.
Now this is where it all starts to click. Take a look at this contrast. If your entire life, your whole reality, is shaped by scarcity and struggle, what would the world of the gods look like? Well, it would have to be the total opposite, right? You'd imagine a place with zero struggle, a paradise of just effortless abundance, where the gods never, ever have to worry about where their next meal is coming from. And that ideal, that becomes the blueprint for everything.
So that brings us right to this core idea, the divine blueprint. Ancient cultures had a very, very clear picture of what a god's home should look like. And it was all based on this idea of perfect, worry-free abundance.
They had a name for this kind of place, sacred space. And it wasn't just a temple, it was way more than that. It was a physical location, carefully built to be a perfect copy of a god's ideal home. It was meant to be, quite literally, heaven on earth.
So, component number 1 of this blueprint is the cosmic garden. Think about Eden. Why a garden? Well, because if you're living in constant fear of drought and starvation, what's the ultimate paradise? It's a place that's perfectly watered, overflowing with fruit, totally lush. It's the divine answer to humanity's single biggest worry.
And part 2 of the blueprint is the cosmic mountain. Okay, so why a mountain? Because gods are different. They're special. They're remote. They live up high, close to the heavens, far away from all the mess and the struggle of human life down below. The mountain symbolizes their power and their separation from us mortals.
So we've got the two key ingredients for a god's perfect home, a cosmic garden and a cosmic mountain. The next logical step then is, how do you take that abstract idea and actually build it here on Earth? I mean, really put yourself in their shoes. You've just poured incredible amounts of time and resources into building a home for your god. You desperately need their help, for your crops, for your city, for your life. How do you make sure that they actually come down, check the place out, and decide to stick around?
The logic is actually beautifully simple when you lay it out like this. Your goal, attract the deity. The strategy, well, you got to make them feel at home. The action you take, you literally recreate their home. And the method for doing that? You build an artificial mountain, that's your pyramid or your ziggurat, and then you cover it in symbols of the cosmic garden, carvings of plants, channels for water, images of abundance.
And this right here is the absolute core of this whole explainer. The pyramid and the Garden of Eden aren't two separate things. They're the same thing, just expressed in different ways. Eden is the literary version of the perfect divine home. The pyramid is the architectural version. This shared blueprint was the common language across the entire ancient world.
So why does this matter so much for understanding something like the Bible? Well, because the biblical writers were plugging into this exact same symbolic language that everybody already understood, but they used it to communicate their own, totally unique message.
I love this analogy. Think of it like this. The physical layout, the condo, is a garden on a mountain. An ancient Egyptian, a Mesopotamian, an Israelite, they'd all look at that and go, yep, I know that address. That's where a god lives.
But the theology, the ideas being taught inside that condo, was radically different for each of them.
This is just a brilliant communication strategy, right? It's kind of pointless to describe God's home in a way that no one recognizes. So instead, you use the familiar symbols to get your audience on board, to get them nodding along. And then, once you have that common ground, that's when you introduce the radical new ideas that make your beliefs unique.
So, the big takeaway here is that by understanding the world they lived in, their anxieties, their hopes, their symbols, we can unlock a totally new layer of meaning in their stories and their buildings. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other ancient mysteries are just waiting for us to solve? If only we could learn to see the world the way they did.